It's me again, I'm back. And let me tell you, I'm making 2 dishes for our dinner tonight. This is called the Kale and Tahini Caesar Salad with za'atar, chickpeas, and roasted grapes. I saw this recipe online today by Yotam Ottolenghi. I'm not sure how you say his name, but the chef that I see a lot on YouTube and places. He's very zen guy. He's cool. And another woman that seems to be on all his videos with him, and I did not write her name down. I'm sorry. Anyway, real quick, I'll go over this kale and tahini Caesar salad. 200 grams of kale leaves, a teaspoon of lemon juice. You rub that in the kale and you let it sit for about 10 minutes with maybe just a little pinch of salt. Then I'm going to cut up, and I already did a head of romaine, which I'm going to mix in with the kale with a little mint and parsley. That's the greens part of the salad. Now, there's some roasted chickpeas, which are done. I did this earlier. 1 can of rinsed, drained, and dried with some olive oil, za'atar, a tablespoon of each, pinch of salt. They roast in a 320 degree or, I forget what he said it was, centigrade. But anyway, for an hour. And I stirred it a couple times in between. Now, I'm getting ready to do this. This is why I started my video, even though I still have to do a little prep work. I'm going to put in, well, more than 400 grams of red seedless grapes. They look so good in the video, I wanted to have extra. So I've got some red seedless grapes with a little olive oil and salt. I'm getting ready to put in a 350 oven for 12 to 15 minutes, I think it said. Next is the dressing, which I have already made in the food processor. 60 grams of tahini, 50 grams of Greek yogurt, 3.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 garlic cloves chopped, 45 grams of parm that I just grated, and it says 15 grams of anchovies. I did not weigh them, but it says 4 to 5, and that's just about what I put in there. It looked like 4 to 5. They kind of broke apart, but 1.5 teaspoons of some prepared English mustard, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and salt and pepper. That all went in the food processor, and it's ready to go. So after I get my, I'll just show you the chickpeas. They look like pistachios. I'm going to show you the chickpeas and the grapes, and then I'll put the grapes in the oven and proceed from there. All right, here's the chickpeas that I roasted with the za'atar and the salt, a little olive oil for an hour. And here's the grapes that all that's on there is, I put them back on the sheet. I did put them on the tray that the chickpeas were on, with some olive oil and salt. And I'm going to put that in the oven right this sec. The other thing, well, let me get that done and I'll tell you what else we're doing. All right, the next thing, I got the grapes in the oven, and I'm going to look at them in about 9 minutes, but it said to cook them for 10 to 15 minutes. And in the picture of it, they looked a little dried out, almost in the raisiny look, but I think they should still be juicy and roasty. And the other thing I'm going to make with this is a recipe I found online called Best Juicy Skillet Pork Chops. But I haven't written it on a piece of paper yet, so I'm going to do that so that I'm not going to make you look at a phone. But let me just say that here are my pork chops that I got out, I don't know, 10 minutes ago before I did something. And they have to sit out for 30 minutes, and I've salted each side, dried them, and then I salted them. And then after they sit here for 30 minutes, I'm going to dry them. And here's a little spice mixture that I have, and I believe what we have is chili powder, granulated garlic, onion powder, smoked paprika, and flour. Now, the only thing I have not put in there is black pepper. So that's all that goes on the pork chops. And after those cook, they don't take very long. I'm going to make a little butter sauce in the pan after I take out the chops with some butter, a little butter, chicken broth, and let's just see. I don't have it written down yet. So here's all my salad stuff. I'll show you that while I'm talking. But butter, a little chicken broth, some parsley. Right here I have parsley and some fresh mint and my clean kale I bought. And then here's my head of romaine lettuce that I rinsed and dried. So that's that. And then when I get the pork chop recipe printed out, I'll show that to you. But in the meantime, I had to get my pork chops salted and sitting out for 30 minutes. I'll be back. This bowl has some torn up kale in it, and I put about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and at least a teaspoon of lemon juice, probably quite a bit more than that, maybe 2. And I'm going to rub this with my hands and kind of get it broken up a little bit. And I just looked at my grapes in the oven. They look good. So I'll show you my dressing, which of course had all the tahini and the anchovies. That is going to be delicious. It's thick though. I might put a tiny bit of water in it just to thin it out a little. But this is supposed to sit for about 10 minutes, which is, we've got plenty of time because we have to cook the pork chops. They don't take too long, but. After this sits for a while, what goes in it besides the dressing and the other is the fresh mint, fresh parsley, and the romaine lettuce. I've got to get those things. The lettuce is ready. I've got to get the herbs ready. All right, here's our Kale Caesar salad. And I put the romaine lettuce that I washed on top of that kale that I rubbed with salt and lemon. And then I have a little pile here of some fresh mint and parsley that I'm also going to add on there. Then we'll put the dressing, the chickpeas, and the roasted grapes. Now the next thing I'm going to start right now is cooking my pork chops. But first I have to dry them off because they've been sitting in salt. Then I'm going to rub that spice rub that I showed you right here. Spice rub, flour, pepper, chili powder, granulated garlic, onion powder, and smoked paprika. I'm going to rub that on my 2 big pork chops here. And I'm going to cook those in some avocado oil for about 3 minutes, I think. And then I'm going to flip them over. And eventually, I want them to be 145 degrees on the inside. And then I'm going to take them out and tent them and make my little butter sauce. Well, it's really mostly chicken broth with a little butter and apple cider vinegar and a little honey. I'm going to put some hot honey in it. Here are the ingredients for the sauce. I just did all this times a half because we only have 2 pork chops. So anyway, a cup of chicken stock, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Anyway, I'm going to do a heaping half of that amount because my pork chops are big. So I'll show you when I start cooking the pork chops. All right, I've put a little bit of the dressing, or most of it. And here's some more in the food processor so you see what it looks like. I think I'm going to end up putting all of it on there because this is a lot of greens here I have. So after that's mixed in there, I'm going to put it out on a platter. You'll see that with the chickpeas and the grapes.